you so much. Thank you. Well, I told you I was wearing my Ghana 60 years on search shirt today because the guests today, they just make me happy. I'm a Ghanaian and quality, top notch. My next guest, this guy actually had to fly to Ghana to save a life. This man is one of the world-renowned authorities in, I have to look at the name and pronounce it well, vasculogenic erectile dysfunction. I'm sure many men are saying, oh, bring him on, bring him on. Among many other things, so put your hands together, show some love for Professor Nicholas Ossei Gerning. Thank you. Professor, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you very much.
It's so good to have you here.
It's good to be here.
I'm going to take a break, and when we come back, the show is on.
We're just getting started. The KSM Show will be right back.
Hey, me ya baby, aka ya Van Damme. KSM Show na moya dai mo hwe mun kwaswa na mun hwe nya sam bechi mo ho na moya dai mo dane fish.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yeah, I had you on Joy FM. I had you on City FM. I'm like, I told my producer, get this man. This is a hero, and he's doing great. So I'm glad you're here. Thank you very much for being here with us. And you came on an emergency to save a life, and you have to explain something to me. That you have to implant a stent.
Yep.
What is that? Explain that to me.
So, when an artery that supplies the heart, the coronary arteries are the arteries that supply the heart. If your arteries are blocked up, you get pains in your chest, you get what we call angina. If they are really blocked up, then you're in trouble. If they completely block up, you have a heart attack. And a stent is a metal scaffolding, which we use to basically get rid of the narrowing. We go through the wrist. So the radial artery is it's an artery, a small artery in the wrist, and we go through that, and with the help of small wires and long tubes that we call catheters, we can implant the stent into the coronary arteries. So you basically implant it into the artery, you stretch it open, and it gets rid of the narrowing. But yeah, that's what a stent is. It's like chicken wire. You can think of it as chicken wire.
And the story was very fascinating. A friend of yours told you about this man who had...
So yeah, my very good friend Dawud Kunochi-Ahulu, most of you would recognize the name.
That's his father, doctor?
His father is Felix Kunochi-Ahulu, who happens to be my mentor, as it happens.
Okay.
So Dawud gave me a call and said that a friend of his was in trouble. And we tried to get this chap to be operated on anywhere. Quite frankly, when Dawud spoke to me, I asked him for the films to look at the arteries. And when I saw them, I said to him, look, this guy needs an operation like yesterday, and he needs operating on anywhere. Basically, get him somewhere to be operated on. And it transpired that, cut a rather long story short, that really the best way was for him to come over to my center in Cardiff in the UK where I work. Unfortunately, his visa was denied. We tried to reapply for a visa, and on one fine Friday afternoon, I was speaking to our finance people in the Cardiff hospital when Dawud phoned me as well. So we were having a three-way conversation with finance department and Dawud. And then a fourth phone call came, and that was David, who's now very well known, David's wife, saying that David had a heart attack and was being taken to 37. And I remember saying to the finance people, look, thank you very much, we've all done our best, but this guy is not going to survive. So I put the phone down and said to Dawud, look, I cannot, having looked at these pictures, I can't see how this guy is going to survive. So I put the phone down on him. An hour later, I get a call from Dawud saying he rallied on the ITU, the intensive care unit on 37, and said, we've got to do something. And I said to him, well, do what exactly?
At this point.
And basically he just said, if Muhammad will not come to the mountains, how about mountains going to Muhammad? I have to be honest with you, at the time I thought it was the craziest idea I've ever heard. You know, go to Ghana with what and to do quite what. But he said, well, look, if I find you a cath lab, which is basically the theatre where you do these things, well, do you think we can do anything? And I thought, I suppose so. Theoretically, you can do something. So I get another call saying, look, I've got the last 2 tickets on BA tomorrow. It was a Friday afternoon. I've got the last 2 tickets on BA at, it was around 1:30, the flight. To complicate all matters, I mean, there's several subplots in the whole story. One was that, by the way, it was the first weekend I was going to put my feet up. My kids were away. My other half was away. I was going to put my feet up and watch Liverpool Football Club and just chill out, you know. So the first weekend, and Dawud was about to ruin this weekend. The second was that on the Monday, I had I was chairing a very important session at the British Cardiac Society conference in Manchester on the Monday. So the window of opportunity was the Saturday and Sunday. I had to somehow get to Ghana, operate on this guy, get back on the flight, and get back to the UK on the Monday. And and then of course the whole issue of kit, having to organize kit, having to get permission for kit. So you can imagine all the phone calls going on to my clinical director, to the hospital authorities. Can we actually carry all the kit, you know, in a bag to carry with me to the airport to bring across? And if the story teaches me anything, is where there is a will, there is a way. My Ghana visa had expired. My British visa, I'd been to Ghana in the January. This was the June, and my 3-month visa had expired, and my Ghana passport had also expired.
Oh my goodness!
So we had to have letters from here, there, and everywhere. Lots of phone calls later. We're given special permission to travel. We had a letter to be able to travel as an emergency visa. And those of you who've read the story know that when we got to the airport the following day with carrying all my stents and my balloons and wires and everything on my back, the BA said they wouldn't allow us to fly because we didn't have the necessary papers. No visa, no travel, basically.
Oh my goodness.
And
you thought you could do it because you had a Ghana passport?
My passport had expired.
Yeah.
So I had to travel on my British passport, but there was no visa either. So it was an emergency visa that we both had to come in on, but they would not allow us to travel. So several phone calls later. I mean, I remember saying to the BA chap, listen, we are not going to Ghana to have a pity party. Okay, there's somebody dying, literally dying. Okay. I need to get on that flight. I need to go and operate on this guy. You got to let us get on. They weren't interested.
Wow.
They weren't interested.
Wow.
But thankfully, lots and lots of phone calls later and getting the necessary. The basic BA needed to be indemnified, basically. And thankfully, that came through at the very last minute. It was fascinating. It will make a fantastic film, by the way.
I'm looking at it cinematically already.
It will make a great film. It really would make a great film.
Wow.
With me just about to attack a BA official, saying, "Look, what are you doing?
Yeah.
We need to get on that flight."
Yeah.
Anyway, eventually we got on, and got to we had a safe flight. Then when we got here, went straight to 37 to see him on ITU. And yeah, the guy was still alive, which was fairly, in my judgment, quite miraculous, really, how that guy survived. And
show some love.
And then the following day, meanwhile, we part of another subplot was that the guy who owned the cath lab, Dr. Anaglate, who's subsequently become a very good friend of mine, he was in India. And so when Dawud said to me, we have a cath lab to use, the guy who had the keys to the cath lab was in India. So this was a Friday. Dr. Anaglate was in India. So Dawud calls him and says, we need your cath lab. And he says, yeah, you may do, but I'm in India. I'm not coming back for a whole week.
Oh no.
And Dawood says to him, no, we need you here like yesterday. So after back and forth, he agreed to come early.
So he came back?
Cut his flight. So, you know, there are lots of heroes in this whole scenario, in the whole story. So, you know, Anaglate is definitely a hero. He cut his journey short and came back on the Sunday. So on Sunday, we're sitting in the hotel, you know, having our lunch when we hear that he'd landed. And so we all got to, we all went to his cath lab at about 1 o'clock.
Wow.
So got to this cath lab, and it was quite different from the one I was used to.
I can imagine.
With, you know, normally I would have nurses, cardiac physiologists, radiologists, any number of, you know, anesthetists, cardiac resuscitation, galore, you know, access to everything really. What we call balloon pumps, which are to help in case you get into trouble. I mean, with this kind of operation, to be honest, I mean, I wouldn't attempt it without any of this stuff. You know, there are often lots and lots of people around to come and help, and there was none of those things. But the truth was that, you know, we had to do what we had to do, and
so who did you have?
Well, I had Anaglate to assist. He had a nurse who was in training and a radiographer in training, and yeah, fairly basic equipment for that sort of surgery. Really quite basic equipment. But yeah, I mean, you know, the truth is, there's no way on God's earth that I would do this under normal circumstances. Wow. I'll do such an operation. Wow. Just no chance. I would do no chance. Wow. Absolutely not. But you know, it had to be done. It had to be done. So the good news is that there were lots of people outside praying. The pastors and you know, lots of people praying while we were doing this. And at the back of the screen was Dawood, and Dr. Neodoy was there, and David's wife, and yeah, we got on.
The thing is, to imagine, because these are the circumstances that our doctors in Ghana most of the time have to perform under. You know, very scanty equipment.
I would be very surprised if there are any of them doing this sort of this particular kind of operation under those circumstances. I would be well. I can't see how that's vaguely possible. I just can't see it. And if they're doing it under those, well, they shouldn't. You know, they shouldn't, because it's you know, it's not the sort of
so how did you feel when you were able to do it?
When I finished, okay, so 4 hours later, I was completely numb. And I remember getting out of there not quite... what I can remember is that I found it very difficult to speak. I was just, you know, fairly dumbstruck. I couldn't talk for a very long time. And the whole thing was quite... took its toll.
Wow.
But you know, you do these operations and you just do them because, you know, you have to. You have to. I mean, I wouldn't choose ordinarily to do this, but you know, that was the only chance this guy had to survive, and you know, you do what you have to do. But I've told Dawood never to give me a phone call ever again, and you know, if anybody out there is thinking of calling me, don't. Not under those circumstances. I'm very happy to operate and do this sort of. I mean, I do all manner of very complex stuff in the UK when I have all the paraphernalia around me, but not, you know, do it under those circumstances.
So was that the reason you couldn't speak?
I was fairly numb.
Was it shock?
It was shock. Yes, it was shock.
Wow.
Yeah, without a doubt.
How long did it take you to recover?
It took me quite a while, but I was completely numb. It's very difficult to put into words. You know, the whole thing. It was almost as if I was in a dream. Quite frankly, the whole thing was Yeah, it was fairly moving.
Were they fears that you would lose the patient during the procedure or something?
That never crossed my mind.
Okay.
That never crossed my mind. And yeah, I mean, you know, in my business, you never go into an operation thinking, you know, yes, you can't, of course you can, and that's always a possibility, but you know, you don't go into this kind of battle thinking that you're going to lose. It's not, it really is not on the agenda. I was there to do battle and there to win.
Yeah. There to save a life.
Absolutely.
And you did.
Well, he's still alive and kicking.
Has this been like the most tedious thing? I mean, all the circumstances and everything?
Tedious, no. But has
No?
it been was it the most, difficult to think of a word, was it the most adventurous, most mind-boggling situation I've been in? Yes, without a doubt. Yeah, the most daring.
The most daring.
The most daring, without a doubt, yeah.
Wow. Put your hands together, man. That's fantastic. Well, I got so much into what you've been doing. I haven't asked any personal. Where were you born?
I was born actually in Takoradi, and but I come from Asante Fijuase, where my mum is Queen Mother.
Okay.
And yeah, but I was born in Takoradi. I went to infant swim school in Cape Coast. So all infant swim boys out there, give us some love. And,
infant swim boys in the house.
and yeah, and then I went over to the UK to do my further training.
Okay, so you left right after infant swim?
After O level, yeah.
After O level, I see. Yeah. And you've been there since?
Yes. I have, yeah.
Okay.
And now I've got, I've been coming back over the last 2 or so years back to Cape Coast to lecture. I've got the distinguished Silas Dodu Chair of Cardiology there, so I've been coming back.
Set up at Laboni for cardio?
Yep, there is a setup there in Laboni, and we're hoping that would be open in the next month or so. Yeah.
Kids, wife, kids?
Yes, and I've got 6 beautiful kids, and they are lovely, and they're all in the UK.
Okay. Wife in the UK?
Yep, in the UK. Yes.
Fantastic.
But they will all come down. They'll all come down.
They will?
Yeah, they will all come down once they see how wonderful this place is, and sun shining every day.
Yeah.
In Wales, the sun shines, I think, about 3 times a year. So yeah, Wales is great here. Yeah. So. Yeah.
And coming back, are you gradually adjusting? Are you getting used the rhythm in Ghana?
Yeah,
which you find slow sometimes when you.
Yeah, it's a very interesting place to be. You know, I enjoy lots of things actually in Ghana. You know, the climate is one thing. I find people very, very friendly. People are very, very helpful. I love the food. I love the music. You know, your women here look good. No, it's great. It's great here. I love everything about Ghana, to be honest. There are 1 or 2, you know, things that we'll let.
And you play instruments? You play some instruments?
I play the guitar and the piano. The piano is my first love. It's my first instrument, and yeah, I haven't got my piano here yet, but I'm hoping to ship it down so that I can play. But yeah, I do play.
That's what you do to relax?
That's what I often do to relax. Yeah, but I also play a number of sports, which I actually played my first game of football last weekend, and that was really quite good fun. Played with some young guys who run rings around me, but you know, I've still got it up. I've still got it.
You got it here.
Yeah, and I play a lot of racket sports as well. So.
Fantastic, fantastic.
Yeah.
Show some love for him, man. Well, Prof, it's so good hanging out with you. It's really, 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 really amazing what you did, catching that flight, coming into Ghana. So you came with your stents and everything to make sure. Wow. Show some love, man. One more time. And it's been great having you, and thank you for the opportunity to hang out with you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It's been a real pleasure.
Okay. Stick around, folks. We will be right back.
Don't move, don't blink, don't breathe. The KSM Show will be right back.